Is the fishing industry sustainable? There are two sources of fish that contribute to our food system: industrial fishing and aquaculture. Industrial fishing is the industry of catching fish at a commercial level. It is a $144 billion industry. Industrial fishing includes the following methods: bottom trawling, or dragging a weighted net across the seafloor; longline fishing, where a 100-kilometer fishing net is scattered with thousands of baited hooks; and fish aggregating devices, or FADs, a cylindrical net targeted to catch large fish such as tuna or marlin. Aquaculture is the process of growing large amounts of fish or other aquatic organisms in a controlled environment or cage placed in a natural environment. It is one of the largest growing industries, expanding in volume by 5.8% each year. The most common type of aquaculture is the use of floating cages offshore, often 1,000 square meters in size. Another way aquaculture is done is in man-made ponds, where water can flow in and out naturally. Aquaculture can also be performed in tanks on land, where water is filtered manually and the fish are fed fish feed. Each have drawbacks to be evaluated later. What are the health benefits of eating fish? Fish is a low-fat, high-quality protein filled with omega-3 fatty acids and vitamins such as D and B2 riboflavin. Fish is rich in calcium and phosphorus and minerals such as iron, zinc, and potassium. Fish is packed with protein, vitamins, and nutrients that can lower blood pressure and help reduce the risk of a heart attack or stroke. A special benefit to eating fish is the presence of omega-3 fatty acids among all fish. Omega-3 can lower blood pressure, heart rate, risk of stroke, depression, and general mental decline, which can benefit our society today, as cardiovascular disease is the #1 cause of death. DHA is a specific omega-3 fatty acid that benefits brain development for infants. Therefore, breastfeeding mothers may often benefit from eating fish. There is a potential risk of eating fish regarding the content of mercury in some fish. However, problems associated with this risk can be easily avoided. For example, my older sister used to eat a tuna sandwich every day for lunch. At her yearly checkup, the doctor told my mother that my sister had high levels of mercury in her blood, and that can harm her vital organs. The simple solution was to stop eating tuna every single day and add more variety into her diet. There are 4 types of fish that are higher in mercury content: shark, swordfish, king mackerel, and golden bass. Fish like salmon, shrimp, cod, or sardines have low mercury content. Pregnant women should still eat fish for the DHA content, but should consider avoiding fish that contain high mercury levels. Another possible risk when eating fish is the potential biomagnification of PCBs, or polychlorinated biphenyls, synthetic chemicals that can become more concentrated as trophic level increases. The content is generally low, and in comparison to meat and dairy products is similar in levels. Like the risk of mercury, harm from PCBs can be avoided if a diverse fish diet is eaten. The benefits of eating fish outweigh the risks. Benefits of seafood can be obtained and maximized by eating a variety of seafood. The American Heart Association recommends eating fish at least 2 times per week as part of a healthy diet. What is the distribution of aquaculture versus industrial fishing in our food system? According to the United Nations in 2016, 47% of fish consumed globally is farmed raised. What are the impacts and problems associated with industrial fishing? Overfishing is when fishing occurs at a rate in which the population cannot replenish itself, previously a result of a dramatic shift from small-scale fishing to industrial fishing operations. Here you can see a 90% decline in the top predator fish abundance in the world oceans between 1955 and 2000. The graph depicts top predator fish caught per 100 hooks set by the global fishing fleet. In this picture, you can see the global fish production from 1950 to 2015. 93% of the major world fisheries are either maximally exploited or overfished. Subsidies are a problem associated with overfishing. Global fish subsidies equate to $30 billion per year, 60% of which directly encourages unsustainable practices. 70% of the fishing subsidies are from the U.S., Japan, China, the European Union, and Russia. An additional problem with industrial fishing is illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. Registered fishing vessels are required to report their catch to the National Marine Fisheries Service. Illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing are unregistered vessels that do not report their catch. Their illegal fishing accounts for 35% of the global wild marine catch, and it results in annual losses of $23.5 billion. A big problem with an unclear solution is that no one country is responsible for the ocean. It's a tragedy of the commons. A tragedy of the commons is when there is one resource shared among a group of people and they all exploit it collectively for their self-interest. Some vessels around the world try to intercept illegal fishing boats. The International Marine Organization, or the IMO, uses tracking systems on legal commercial fishing vessels to regulate and keep track of each legal vessel. The effectiveness of these strategies vary around the world. Another problem associated with industrial fishing is bycatch, or catching unintended organisms. For example, when bottom trawling, as much as 70% of sea life is scraped by trawlers and is discarded back into the ocean, most often having already died. Bottom trawling is ineffective and done at a large scale. Each year, trawling affects an area 150 times greater than the global area of forest that is cleared. For reference, this picture reveals deforestation across the whole world, the colors showing the different reasons for deforestation. Trawling affects 150 times greater this area. Fish aggregating devices, or FADs, also contribute to the problem of bycatch. Fish aggregating devices are large devices thrown into the ocean by fishermen intended to catch tuna. Polyps and plants attach to it, small fish hide in it, and large fish come to it as a source of shade and a feeding ground. An entire ecosystem forms within these devices. A few weeks later, fishermen pick them up, and a new ecosystem is now destroyed. The use of FADs increases bycatch by 500 to 1,000%. 15 to 20% of the bycatch are threatened and endangered species. Also, tens and thousands of these FADs are abandoned every year and will become marine debris. What are the impacts and problems associated with aquaculture? Impacts of offshore aquaculture include possible algae blooms and the eutrophication of coastal water. Since fish are concentrated in an area, their feces add a large amount of nitrogen and phosphorus into the water, which stimulates the growth of phytoplankton. The process of eutrophication occurs, and in the end, a possible hypoxic zone is created. Another problem with aquaculture is the use of wild-caught forage fish as feed. This is a problem because forage fish are a keystone species in the wild, and many types of coastal birds rely on them. Forage fish can be caught industrially using unsustainable practices discussed earlier, not really solving any problems. Onshore fish tanks use fish feed, which has the same consequences. Additionally, fish can die due to unnatural conditions created by aquaculture. Stress, competition, water quality, and algae blooms can cause fish to die before they are harvested. Overcrowded conditions can also cause an increased occurrence of disease. Disease can be passed into natural populations in the event of an escape if a net or cage breaks. Natural genetic diversity can also be compromised if aquaponic fish escape. Antibiotics are used to treat fish and can pollute the water. Often, antibiotics or veterinary drugs are misused, which can lead to food safety concerns and thus food waste if the harvest is rejected. Lastly, the construction of man-made ponds can destroy mangroves and marshes, which protect coastlines. What is the most sustainable method that can be done, and is there a reason why we aren't doing it? In order to make industrial fishing sustainable, there needs to be worldwide strict conservation laws. NOAA Fisheries already has annual catch rates of estimated populations to prevent overfishing. However, still 20 to 30% of fish caught is illegal and unreported and still enters the market. 90% of the fish market are private fishermen with small operations that cannot afford the certifications that allow them to label their fish as sustainable and therefore can't receive the benefits that subsidies provide. Most subsidies are provided to large-scale industrial fishing companies that use bottom trawling, FADs, and have a large amount of bycatch. The UN in the Sustainable Development Goal number 14, Life Below Water, has planned to reach a plan of ocean rehabilitation by 2020. A large part of that plan has to do with eliminating subsidies that contribute to illegal, unreporting fishing and overfishing. The progress of this goal can be seen across many nations, but it may be many years until we see the full results, and if these plans are strict enough. On the contrary, there is a clear solution on how to make aquaculture sustainable. Aquaculture of planktivorous fish like tilapia will eliminate aquaculture's negative impacts discussed because these fish feed on zooplankton, which are naturally occurring in the environment, not wild-caught prey fish. Additionally, oysters, other shellfish, and seaweed also do not require prey fish or fish food, as shellfish are filter feeders and seaweed perform photosynthesis. Aquaculture of these organisms can create healthy habitats. They can alleviate the effects of climate change by photosynthesizing and cleaning the water. In only 5 months, 4,000 meters squared of ocean can produce 25 tons of seaweed and 250,000 shellfish. Collective farms the size of Washington State can feed the entire world. By leaving our fisheries alone for a while and developing aquaculture farms that in return create healthy ecosystems could be a way to allow our fisheries to regenerate. It is difficult to persuade people to change their ways. Think about how long it took to convince tens of millions of Americans to stop smoking. While the movement to eat less meat made a temporary impact, people have again returned to their normal food habits. Meat is deeply embedded into American food culture. Think of all the holidays, the iconic meat brands like McDonald's, and the traditions that revolve around eating meat. The solution to shifting our fish-eating habits is one that will take time as well. People will resist eating more shellfish and seaweed instead of fish. However, it is necessary to make our food system more environmentally sustainable, economically sustainable, and socially sustainable in regards to our growing population, the stability of our food system, and the future health of our oceans.